Hi, this is Edward Troxel. In the previous tutorial, we started looking at how we could highlight words as they are being spoken, and we figured out how to figure out how big each word is, how big each line is, and now we need to be able to convert that information into using pan crop to move the individual words to be on top of the individual words on the main line. So let's take a quick look at a couple of things here, and then we'll go back and look at the code. Here was our project we were looking at last week, and the first thing I needed to know is how big are the words compared to how big is the screen. Since I had this Let's Walk Through a Narration lesson, I decided I would take this, copy it, and just double the length here, and I noticed that it basically went from the left edge all the way to the right edge, and so it being on there once is roughly half the width. So by looking at the half width and looking at the half width of the screen is 1920. I know that the length that I got for the line was 266. And so I know that 266 is not 960. And so I needed to come up with a multiplier to come up to make 960 from the 266. So I took 960 and divided by 266, and I got 3.6. I figured that was a reasonable number to start with, but then I needed to fine-tune that number. So I took my 266 and took 960 divided by 266, and I got 3.6. And so I decided, okay, let's start that as our multiplier. And then I put in this distance adder variable to kind of fine-tune the positioning in the end. So we've added these two variables at the top, and then all of this is the same as in the previous tutorial. Now I need to figure out how far do I need to move the pieces. So my move distance is going to be my length times my multiplier divided by 2. This is going to be my base move distance. And this is hopefully going to get me to the left edge of the first word. Now what I've done is I've gone ahead and left this, if the event is selected and the active media take is generated, so it's going to just look at the selected events, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the events on the track above it and assume that those are the events that I want to move along. So now I'm going to go for each track event, which is a single event, the single words, from my vegas.project.tracks, and then I'm going to get it from my track.index -1, and then I want the events on those tracks. So if the single event dot start is greater than the event dot start, greater than or equal to, so if this one begins at or after the event I'm looking at, and the single event dot start is less than event end, if it's totally inside, then and it is a generated media. Then I am going to get the video event for the single event. I'm going to do the exact same thing I did up here. The exact same thing. I'm going to get the OFX effect. If it is a Vegas titles and text, then I'm going to get this text string, a new text box, pull in the value into the RTF, get the first letter selected, get the selection font, get my single text, and then I want to get the size of the single text, and my length will be SLen, which is the single length. So this will give me the size of the single word, and then my single length, I want to do my single length times the multiplier plus my distance adder. Now this distance adder, I just played around with a few numbers until it came out in the right position. And then my offset for this word is my single length divided by 2. Next, I want to get the video motion keyframes. I want the list of keyframes from the single event. So sevent.videomotion.keyframes. And then my video motion vortex, which I just called XYZ, don't know why, is a new video motion vortex, which is my move distance minus my M offset. And then I don't want it to go up or down, so I just only want it to move in the X value. And then for the first keyframe on that video event, so V keyframes, 0, I'm going to move by X, Y, Z. And then I'm going to add to the move distance my single length. So I'll subtract that from the move distance, because now I've got the first word there. I'm going to scoot over the distance of that word. So basically, this is where I want the next word moved to now. So I'm going to select only the big one, and then it's going to process all of these up above it individually. So I select the big one, and we run the script. You can see the through has moved to be on top of the through. Walk is on top of walk. Let's is on top of let's. Lesson is on top of lesson. And if we play this back,
let's walk through a narration lesson.
You can see they just...
Let's walk through a narration lesson.
They just follow the words across as each word is spoken. So this was an interesting script, actually. I came out much closer and much better than I actually thought it would when I first started looking at it. And so it is not totally set up to work with any size screen. It's not totally set up to work with just any format. For example, if you wanted to change it to a vertical screen instead of a horizontal screen, you can make it work, but it's going to take different numbers to make it work. But I thought this was kind of an interesting task and thought I'd share it with everyone. And so I hope you liked this tutorial. If you did, like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next tutorial. Please sign up at www.jettv.com and subscribe on YouTube to get further notifications on when new videos are presented.